bombs have been falling on Iran for 7 days. Khamenei is dead. The navy is gone. The bunker is rubble. And the question that every government, every intelligence agency, and every analyst is now working through is the one that no missile can answer. What actually comes next for Iran? Trump framed it simply: remove the head and the body collapses. Netanyahu said the operation would create conditions for the Iranian people to take their destiny into their own hands. Both framings share a common assumption that destroying the leadership of the Islamic Republic will produce something better than what existed before. History, and the specific history of Iran, does not support that assumption, and the evidence on the ground right now actively contradicts it. Start with the hardest truth about regime change that Washington has repeatedly learned and repeatedly forgotten. Killing Khamenei is not regime change. As one analyst put it precisely this week, think of it as changing a light bulb. To change it, you must first remove the broken one. But removing it is not changing it. That requires replacing it with something new. The United States has removed the bulb. It has no confirmed replacement in hand. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Brookings Institution, the Carnegie Endowment, and the Stimson Center have all published assessments this week mapping the same 3 primary trajectories for post-war Iran. None of them are optimistic in the near term. The CFR was explicit. None of these scenarios envisage a positive transformation in the year or so after transition. Here is what those 3 trajectories actually look like. The first scenario is regime continuity, what analysts are calling Khameneism without Khamenei. The IRGC closes ranks, a new supreme leader is selected by the Assembly of Experts, and the Islamic Republic continues in modified form under a different figurehead. This is the most likely near-term outcome according to every major think tank assessment published this week. The reason is structural. The Islamic Republic is not a one-man operation, despite Khamenei's 36-year dominance. It is a system, a dense interlocking network of the IRGC, the Basij paramilitary, the judiciary, the foundations that control vast economic assets, the revolutionary courts, and the clerical establishment in Qom, all of which continue to function with or without the man at the top. Karim Sajidpour of the Carnegie Endowment, one of the world's leading Iran analysts, made this point bluntly in Foreign Affairs this week. The opponents of the regime are far more numerous but broadly unarmed and disorganized. The regime's forces are highly armed, highly organized, and willing to kill to stay in power. That asymmetry does not disappear because the supreme leader was killed. The succession picture adds its own complexity. Israel reportedly bombed the Assembly of Experts building on March 3rd, the constitutional body whose specific function is to choose a new supreme leader. If that report is confirmed, Iran's constitutionally mandated succession mechanism has itself been targeted. Ali Larijani, and the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council and currently the most powerful surviving official, said the leadership transition will begin formally. Larijani himself is a potential successor with genuine institutional credibility. He supported the 2015 nuclear deal. He has back-channel experience with Western interlocutors. The Stimson Center assessed he could be an interlocutor for renewed nuclear diplomacy. But Larijani is not a cleric at the required senior religious rank for the supreme leader position, which creates the same constitutional tension that surrounded Khamenei's own appointment in 1989. Hassan Khamenei, grandson of the Islamic Republic's founder, also emerged this week as a discussed candidate after substituting for Khamenei at a significant revolutionary occasion in February 2026. Mojtaba Khamenei, the dead supreme leader's son, has been discussed in IRGC-aligned circles, despite having no formal qualification for the position. The succession is genuinely contested, and the contest is happening while bombs are falling. The second scenario is a military takeover, IRGC dominance replacing clerical dominance. This is what the CFR calls the Praetorian state scenario, and Carnegie describes as Iran as Pakistan. The IRGC already controls vast sectors of Iran's economy. It already dominates the country's military and intelligence architecture. The killing of the clerical leadership in the opening strikes has strengthened the IRGC's relative position within Iran's power structure, not because the IRGC wanted it that way necessarily, but because when you eliminate the civilian political layer, what is left is the men with the guns. The Brookings Institution assessed this week that Iran's military commanders now hold the country's future in their hands. That is not an endorsement of military rule, it is a description of the post-strike power distribution. An IRGC-dominated Iran would not be more moderate than the Islamic Republic under Khamenei. It would likely be more nationalist and potentially more dangerous because it would be less constrained by clerical ideology and more directly driven by institutional military interest, including the nuclear program, which serves the IRGC's deterrence calculus regardless of any religious fatwa. The third scenario is regime collapse and chaos. This is the one Trump appears to be betting on. The conditions for it are genuinely present in ways they were not in 2009, 2019 or 2022. The January 2026 protests reached 675 locations across all 31 of Iran's provinces, the largest popular uprising since the 1979 revolution. Protesters were no longer demanding reform within the system. They were chanting for the system's overthrow. Young men joined in large numbers alongside women. Market traders, the class whose participation in the 1979 revolution was decisive, participated in strikes. Kurdish cities were abandoned by security forces. But as Sajjadpour assessed precisely, revolutions require two things: inspirational leadership and organizational capacity. The Iranian opposition in exile is deeply fragmented. Reza Pahlavi, the exiled Shah's son, has intensified his political appeals and positioned himself as a possible interim leader. But as multiple analysts confirmed this week, importing a political figurehead from abroad has limited credibility on the ground and risks repeating past experiments with parachuted elites that ended badly. There is no Khamenei figure in waiting, no leader with the authority, the network and the presence inside Iran to organize the popular anger into a governing alternative. Brookings published an analysis this week that may be the most accurate near-term prediction available. Trump's best option in Iran is still what they called a Venezuela scenario, striking a deal with whoever comes to replace Khamenei, likely a modified nuclear deal plus oil concessions. Trump and his political base have no appetite for a long drawn-out war of the kind required to truly topple the Iranian regime, especially as US casualties mount, as the economic costs compound, as the Hormuz closure continues to damage global energy markets. The pressure on Trump to take a deal, any deal, will grow with each passing week. And Iran, for its part, is pursuing the same strategy according to Brookings, expanding the war as much and as quickly as possible to create maximum diplomatic pressure on Trump to end it while signaling interest in negotiations simultaneously. Both sides are fighting toward the same table from opposite directions.